If you're on the market for a mid-size speaker, some popular options are the Sony XB30, JBL Pulse 3, and the JBL Charge 3. They all hover at around the same price point and have very similar audio capabilities, but they all have very different designs and feature sets. So which is right for you? We're about to find out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and you can watch these speakers' individual reviews here after you're done watching this video. And there will be a sound comparison between these speakers at the end of this video as well. First, let's start with the Sony XB30. It usually retails for $149.99 at most retailers, but it's actually on sale now and can be had for $118 over at Amazon, making this speaker the best bargain in this group for now. The JBL Charge 3 is the oldest speaker in this group and usually retails for $149.99 at most stores, but I've managed to find it for as low as $121 over at Amazon, just as long as you're okay with the turquoise colorway. And then there's the JBL Pulse 3. It's the newest of these speakers and it retails for $199.99 almost everywhere. If you want to pick either of these speakers up, I'll have links in the description below and I'll keep them updated so you can get the best deal possible. Okay, I'm going to do a quick rundown of these speakers' design and build quality. The Sony XB30 has a soft touch rubber outer shell. There's a metal painted grill on the front. There's a built-in light feature that flashes to the beat of your music. It can be laid down flat or stand on its side. Control buttons and the NFC touch point can be found on the top, and on the back of the device you will find a 3.5mm audio jack, a 5V DC charging port, and a USB out so you can charge your own devices. The JBL Charge 3 is almost the same size as the XB30, but the majority of its body is covered in a tight nylon fabric weave. There are LED battery indicator lights on the front of the device. The control buttons are also found on the top of the device, except there's no NFC chip, and the buttons are very textured. And on the back of the Charge 3 you will find a micro USB port for charging, a 3.5mm audio jack, and a USB out so you can charge your own devices, just like on the XB30. And finally, there's the Pulse 3. It's the largest of the group and the most fragile. The majority of the body, which houses the light feature, is made out of acrylic, and although it is tough, you do run the risk of scratching it. The lower portion of the Pulse 3, which houses the 3 transducers, is covered in the same nylon fabric as the Charge 3. And the control buttons and LED indicator lights of the Pulse 3 can be found on the back, as well with an extra button to cycle through the light features. And you will also find a micro USB port for charging and a 3.5mm audio jack, but unlike the Charge 3 or the XB30, there is no USB out, so you can't charge your own devices. And overall, all 3 speakers weigh about 2 pounds or 1 kilo. And neither one of these speakers are afraid of a little water. The Sony XB30 is IPX5 certified, so it can get wet, but it can't be submerged underwater. And the JBL Pulse 3 and the Charge 3 are both IPX7 certified, which means they can also get wet and they can get submerged underwater without any issues. Now let's talk about speaker setup. The Sony XB30 has dual 1.89-inch or 48mm diameter full-range speakers and a passive radiator in the center. The JBL Charge 3 also has dual speakers, but they have a diameter of 50mm or 1.97 inches, and dual passive radiators on each side with a diameter of 48mm or 1.89 inches. But unlike the Sony XB30 or the JBL Charge 3, which only shoots sound out through the front, the JBL Pulse 3 is a 360-degree speaker. It houses its 3 40mm diameter or 1.57-inch transducers in the bottom portion of the speaker that's covered by the fabric at the 0, 120, and 240 degree marks relative to the JBL logo on the front. And it also has dual passive radiators on each side, which are slightly smaller, coming in with a diameter of 44mm or 1.73 inches. But at the end of the day, all 3 of these speakers manage to achieve relatively the same decibel levels at max volume, which is in the mid-70s. But even though all 3 of these speakers do get just as loud, they do sound and perform differently. When played at the same loudness, the most noticeable difference between these 3 speakers are the vocals. In this group, the Charge 3 has the vocals pushed way back, whereas the Pulse 3 is the most forward in the group. But then you've got the Sony XB30, which places the vocals right between the Pulse 3 and the Charge 3, which I prefer. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I think the Charge 3 is the worst sounding speaker in this group. It's starting to show its age. The bass doesn't deliver, and there's a lot of amplification going on in the mids and highs, which does cause raspiness. And when set at full volume, the Charge 3 suffers from the worst amount of distortion in this group. Whereas the Sony XB30 suffers from the least amount of distortion when set at full volume, and the mids and highs don't crash. I think the Sony XB30 is the best sounding speaker in this group, and the Pulse 3 is the safest. It's good for personal listening, the sound is neutral, but there's enough bass to keep you satisfied. But battery life is also important to take into consideration. The Sony XB30 has the longest advertised battery life, coming in at 24 hours. But that's with the light feature turned off and at relatively low volumes. Real-world use with the light feature turned on and the volume set at 50%, we're looking at around 18 hours of use. Then there's the Charge 3 with an advertised battery life of 20 hours, and since it doesn't have a light feature to power, I routinely get more than 20 hours of playback time. And then there's the Pulse 3, with an advertised battery life of 12 hours. With the music set loud and the brightness of the light feature turned all the way up, you'll be lucky if you get 8 hours out of it. But with the volume set at 50% and the brightness set at 25%, I've managed to get around 13 hours of playback time. And with the light feature turned off, you can squeeze out 15 hours of playback. When it comes to battery life, the JBL Charge 3 is the winner here for one big reason. My biggest pet peeve with Sony's extra bass portable speakers is that when the speaker gets to 20% volume, they will abruptly stop the music, say please charge, and you will have no other option than to put the speaker back on the charger because they won't go past 30% volume. I absolutely hate this feature. But if what you're most concerned about is the light feature, then hands down the JBL Pulse 3 is the best choice. Obviously there's no light feature on the Charge 3, but the Pulse 3 has the best light feature on the market right now. Through JBL's Connect app, it's super easy to control. You've got equalizer, rave, rainbow, and fire, just to name a few, and you can even make your own. And you can change the color of each light feature just as easy with the color wheel or color matching with your phone's camera. The main selling point of the Pulse 3 are the lights. The light feature on the Sony XB30 is okay, but you don't have as many customization options and cycling through the light modes isn't as easy. Unlike the Pulse 3 that has a dedicated button directly on the speaker to cycle through the light settings, you can only turn the light setting on the XB30 on or off by pressing and holding the extra bass button. And if you want to cycle through the light modes, you have to do that through Sony's Music Center app, which likes to act up from time to time on my iPhone. But on the Sony XB30, you can choose from RAVE, Chill, Strobe, or RAVE mode without the strobe lights on the side, and there's a few calm options as well. But like I said, the light feature on the XB30 or the XB40 is nowhere near as impressive as the one in the Pulse 3. And there's one more thing I want to touch on before wrapping this video up, which is pairing these speakers together. With the Sony XB30, you can pair up to 10 portable Sony speakers together, like the XB20 or the XB40. And if you have two of the same model speakers, you can have them play left and right stereo audio. In order to pair them, you have to press and hold the add and plus button together for a few seconds until the speakers beep. With JBL speakers, you literally just press one button on each speaker and you're done. It's much easier. But the Charge 3 is using JBL Connect, so you can only pair to other speakers that are also using JBL Connect, like the JBL Extreme, JBL Pulse 2, or another Charge 3. The JBL Pulse 3 is using the newer JBL Connect Plus, so you can pair the Pulse 3 to another Pulse 3, or a Flip 4, or the upcoming JBL Boombox. Look out for my JBL Boombox review in the future. But you cannot pair the Pulse 3 to speakers that are using the JBL Connect protocol, like the Charge 3 or the Pulse 2. Or the JBL Extreme. Okay, so this video is getting a little long, but here's the main takeaway. If you're trying to decide between these three speakers, you pick the JBL Pulse 3 because it looks great and the sound is going to satisfy you for personal listening. You pick the JBL Charge 3 if you're looking for the best battery life and durability. And you pick the Sony XB30 if you want the best bargain. It sounds great and it has a good enough light feature. But just a heads up, even though JBL officially announced the JBL Boombox at IFA at the beginning of September, I'm willing to bet JBL is going to at least announce the JBL Charge 4 at CES 2018. And here's the sound test. All of these speakers are playing at the same decibel level in the same room and streaming from the same device, so hopefully the only difference is sound quality. I'm also going to max the volume out of them later into the test so you can hear them at their loudest. Comment down below with which one you like best.
And I wanna admit it's time to end the ride. Fading it too slowly, without a lift me up this time. You were the only one who got me tripping up inside. All the words you told me, and I'm reading something different from your eyes. See you, moment even hope that I can feel you. I see you, all the world that wants to tell you that I need you. I see you, for a moment even hope that I can feel you. I see you, all the world that wants to tell you that I need you. Now I'm finally right here with you. Now I'm finally right here with you. Your voice is getting nearer, heart pumping, thoughts are running wild. We got a good thing going, why we gotta feel this amplified. Staying till the morning, countless hours spending by your side. You look at me, I'm soaring, you know the truth behind your eyes. See you, for a moment even hope that I can feel you. I see you, all the world that wants to tell you that I need you. I see you, for a moment even hope that I can feel you. I see you, all the world that wants to tell you that I need you. Now I'm finally right here with you. Now I'm finally right here with you. The voice is getting nearer, all these thoughts are running wild. We got a good thing going, why we gotta feel this amplified. Staying till the morning, countless hours spent by your side. You look at me, I'm soaring, seeing all the truth behind your eyes.
Hey, if If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It helps out more than you realize. For more product reviews and deal alerts, check out jimcaddy.net. If you want to support the channel, pick up a shirt. And I'll catch you next time.